Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Pandu, wibowo, and I have a pronunciation and drill talks. This is part 1. Read this text correctly. You don't have to be French to enjoy decent red wine. Charles Jocelyn de Grouche used it to tell his foreign guests whenever he entertained them in Paris. But you do have to be a French. Recognize one, he would add with a laugh. After a lifetime in a French diplomatic corps, the Count de Grouche lived with his wife, an elegant townhouse on Quai Voltaire. He was a likable man, cultivated of course, with a well-deserved reputation as a generous host and an amusing raconteur. These evening guests were all Europa and all equally convinced that immigration was the root of Europa's problem. Charles de Grouche said nothing. He had always concealed his contempt for such ideas, and in any case, he had never much cared for this particular guest. The first of red burdocks was being served with the veal, and one of guests turned to do grace. "Come on, Charles, it's simple arithmetic, nothing to do with the race or color. You must have had bags of experience of this sort of thing. What did you say?" "Yes, General bags." Part 2. Read this word correctly. A pen, a postcard, a pencil, passport, a pin, a passenger, a peer, a policeman, Peter, a newspaper, Poppy, a pepper pot, Paris, a spoon, empty, helpful, stop talking, upstairs, played, brushed, waded, cleaned, laved, painted, snowed, pushed, showed, closed, watched, wanted, filled, danced, landed, studied, walked, deported. Part 3. Read and compare between two words. Pin, bin, pen, ban, a peer, beer, cap, cap, pub, pub, puppy, Bobby, chore, door, tart, dart, cart, cart, right, right, train, drain, trunk, drunk. Part 4. Read this long text correctly. She was walking lazily, for the fierce April sun was directly overhead. Her umbrella blocked its rays, but nothing blocked the heat. The sort of raw, wild heat that crushes you with its energy. A few buffalo were tread under coconuts, browsing the parched verge. Occasionally, a car went past, leaving its treads in the meeting pitch like the wake of ship at the sea. Otherwise, it was quiet, and she saw no one. In her long white Sunday dress, you might have taken Ginny Narin for 14 or 15. In fact, she was 12, a happy, uncompleted child with a nature as open as the red hibiscus that decorated her black, waist-length hair. Generation earlier, her family had come to Trinidad from India as overseers on the sugar plantation. Her father had had some success buying and clearing land around Rio Cristalino and planting it with coffee. On the dusty fair 20 yards ahead of Ginny, a car pulled up. She had noticed it cruised by once before, but she did not recognize it and could not make out the driver through its dark windows, themselves as black as its gleaming paintwork. As she walked past it, the driver's glass started to open. "Hello, Ginny," she heard behind her. She paused and turned. A slight color rose beneath her dusky skin. Rafi Kirjani was tall and lean, and always well dressed. His black eyes and large white teeth flashed in the sun like he spoke. Everyone in Rio Cristalino knew Ravi. Ginny often heard unmarried sisters talk ruefully of him, of how, if only their father were alive and still had land, one of them might marry him, and then they would squabble over who it might be and left Ginny because she was too simple for anyone to want. How do you my name, Ravi?" she asked with a thrill. "How do you mind? Everyone knows your name. You are Mr. Kinjani's son." "Right. And where are you going, Ginny?" She hesitated and looked down at the ground again. "To chapel," she said with a fine smile. "But Ginny, good Hindus go to a temple." His rich, cultured voice was gently mocking as he added with a laugh, "Or maybe the temple pundits aren't your taste color." She blushed more deeply at the reference to Father Olivier. She did know how to reply. It was true that she liked the young French priest with his funny accent and blue eyes, but she had been going to Catholic chapel for months before he arrived. She loved it. He loved its careful hymns and its simple creed of of one one God, so different from the miserable Hindu gods who squabble with each other like her sister at home. But added to that, the vulgarity Rafi remarked bewildered her because his family were known for their breeding. People always said that Rafi would be a man hunter like his father. Rafi looked suddenly grave. His dark skin seemed even darker. It made that regretted his word. Possibly he saw confusion in Jenny's white brown eyes. In any case, he did not wait for an answer. Can I offer you the lift to chapel in 21st birthday present? He asked, putting sunglasses back on. She noticed how thick their frames were. Real gold. She talked like the big fat watch on his wrist. It's a Mercedes from Papa. Do you like it? He added nonchalantly. From the shade of her umbrella, Ginny peered up the small lone cloud that hung motionless above them. The sun was beating down mercilessly, and there was an urge in the air, an overpowering sense of growth. With handkerchief, she wiped the sweat from her forehead. Rafi gave a tug her collar. It's air conditioned. Ginny. And you won't be late for chapel? Her continued, reading her mind. But chapel must have been lasting on Ravi. Mine went Ginny. After a moment his hesitation accepted us over, for drove her instead to a quiet sugar felt outside town, and there with the Mercedes concealed among the sugar cans. He introduced himself into her. Ginny was in a daze. Young as she was, she barely understood what was happening to her. The beat calypso filled her ears, and the sugar can towered over her as the cold draught from the air conditioner played against her knees. Afterward, clutching the ragged flower that had been torn from her hair, she lay among the tall, sweet-smelling cans and sobbed until brief tropical twilight turned to stray night. But she told no one, not even Father Drive. 2 weeks later, the little market town of Rio Cristalino was alive with a gossip. Rafi Kirjani had been promised that the hand of Sunita Morplani. Like the Kirjanis, the Morplanis were established Indian family, one of the wealthiest in the Caribbean. But while Kirjani were diplomats, the Morplanis were commercial family. They had made their fortune in retailing long before the collapse in oil prices. had emptied their customers' pockets, and now more plenty stores were skirted throughout Trinidad and some of other islands. Prudently, they had diversified into banking and insurance, and as a result, their influence was felt highest level. It was benevolent influence, of course, never abused, for people always said more plains were respectable family and well above reproach. They had houses. They had houses in a port of Spain, Tobago, and Barbados, as well in England and India, but their main residence was a magnificent, sprawling, colonial-style mansion just to the north of Rio Cristalino. The arranged marriage would be the social event of following years. When Ginny heard of Ravi's engagement, the loathing she had confided for him grew into sort of numb hatred. She was soon haunted by longing to repay that heartless, arrogant brute. She would give anything to humiliate him, to see that luring, conceited grin wiped from face, but outwardly she was unmoved. On weekdays, she went to school. On Sundays, she went still to a Father Olivier afternoon service. Girl, you sure does have a lot confess to that Whitey, her mother would say to her each time she came home late from chapel. He's not Whitey, he's man of God. That's maybe, child, but don't forget, he does be a man first. The month passed, and she did not see Ravi again. And then it rained. Although a gust, the rain hardly stopped. It rattled patiently on the galvanized roofs until you thought you would go mad with the noise. And if it stopped, the air was thick as a sticky trickle, and you prayed for the to train again. Then one day in October, towards the end of the west season, when Jeannie's family were celebrating her only brother's 18th birthday, something happened that she had been dreading for weeks. She was lying in the hammock of the balcony, playing with her 6-year-old nephew, Penny. Suddenly, Penny cried out, "Ginny, why are you so fat?" Throughout the little frame house, all celebrated stopped. On the balcony, curious eyes were turned upon Ginny, and you could see what the boy meant. God have mercy on you, Virginia. What the shape of your belly?" cried Miss Norrin, exploding with indignation and pulling her daughter indoors, away from praying neighbors' ears. Her voice was loud and hard, and there was a blackness in her eyes like the blackness of the skies before thunder. How cold and how could she have been so blind? She cursed herself for it, and harsh question burst from her lips. And that's all from me. And if I wrong, I apologize. I'm sorry. And thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.